90s as an offensive lineman for the Miami Hurricanes. 4-5 on the season, coming off of that loss last Saturday at home against Florida State, 45-3. Brent Key, 4-5 overall this season for the Jackets. Coach Key is the interim head coach. Jeff Collins relieved of his duties earlier in the season. And as James mentioned, Key has gone 3-2 as the head man. Georgia Tech won the toss, elected to defer and kick it away. So we're going to see the Canes on offense first as we get it rolling, James, late afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia for ACC football.
And we say it a lot, but it is perfect football weather. A couple of long sleeves on some of the guys from South Florida. But it really, it's not cold, it's not hot, little cloud cover. Sun won't be an issue, so we'll see how the true freshman coming back home to Georgia, how he does. And for those Miami fans that don't know too much about what Georgia Tech's been doing recently, it was a pretty good showing for their true freshman in his first start at Georgia Tech last week in the win over Virginia Tech and Zach Pyron.
28-27 on the road in Blacksburg. They'll start with Brown. He's number 11 in orange. Those temperatures, by the way, James, in the low 60s as the game progresses. We expect him to go down to the low 50s here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. And it is time for our Impact Players, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
Well, Wiley hit on it, and when you go 9 straight quarters without a touchdown, Andy Borregales is doing a fantastic job. He helped to win that Virginia game. Here's Restrepo back in action, and boy, is it good to get him healthy. What a huge catch he had. Big tough catch against Florida State in the second quarter last week. And Charlie Thomas, many times over, including last week, the ACC linebacker of the week. Another South Georgia product. He's from Thomasville, Georgia, where Charlie Ward's from. And the tackling machine, he and Ace Ely are both tied for third in the ACC with 86 tackles. And here comes on this opening drive a pistol look behind Brown on 3rd and short.
54th game in a Georgia Tech uniform for Thomas. This is a spinning first down past the 40 for Jaylon Knighton. First down, Hurricanes.
Jaylon Knighton finally had a little bit of success last week, if you can call it that, in a 45-3 football game. But for Jaylon Knighton, who has struggled holding on to the football this season, I'm sure it's been very frustrating for him. But a couple long runs, a 45-yard run, which was a career high for him, and a big pickup there on 3rd down and short, fresh set of downs.
Knighton had 4 carries for 60 yards on the ground a week ago. Brown, he was the leading rusher, 13 carries for 64 yards for Miami a week ago in that loss against the Noles. Short gain there for Brown.
Well, they say that Brown could be the most dynamic runner on this football team. That's especially true maybe with Henry Parrish not being available for today's game. He did not make the trip, and back at that Virginia game, Henry Parrish had a lot to do with finally providing a little bit of a spark on the ground, helping to set up some play action passing, move that football a little bit, had 113 yards in that game.
Knighton up the middle. He's got first down yardage and on to the Georgia Tech side of the 50, and the chains are moving for Miami. 9 yards on the play from Knighton.
2 carries, 2 first downs for the Rooster. And Knighton running hard through that line, and it's a banged up offensive line, to say the least. So many injuries up front. A lot of teams are injured at this time of the year, but for that offensive line, it happened a lot earlier than they would have liked, that's for sure.
That win on the road against Virginia, October 29th, as Knighton carries again. James, we had a chance to call that game a couple of weeks ago. 14-12 in 4 overtimes. Jake Garcia had the 2-point conversion in that 4th overtime, and that was the difference.
Look at Andrew Thacker, the defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. Not liking what he's seeing from his guys up front here early, getting pushed around a little bit early on this first series. A pretty stout defensive line, especially when it comes to rushing that passer. Right now, the Miami offensive line is having their way with them on the ground.
3 carries for 23 yards for Knighton. This is Brashard Smith. Little wrinkle there inside the 35-yard line. Kenny Bennett on the tackle for Georgia Tech, James. They got 9 for Miami.
Yeah, watch Rooster here leading the way. He's going to seal that edge on Charlie. Thomas does a great job of making sure he's in front of him. There you see number 4. So as not to draw the penalty flag, which at times has been a little bit of an issue here this season. Nice and clean. Another first down on this opening drive.
Brown with the time. Exits the pocket. High steps it at the 30. Open field tackle. 25-yard line. Charlie Thomas on the stop. One of the 18 seniors honored prior to the game. And Brown got 8 on the run.
Nothing down the field for Brown, and wisely goes ahead and bails. Get me what you can, and what he can is about 7 yards. After Tyler Van Dyke went down against Florida State early in that game, it was Jake Garcia who has started here this year and struggled a little bit early, threw an interception deep in Miami territory, in their own territory. And Jacurri Brown, a little bit of a spark for the offense.
Here comes the 8th run of the drive into the line. Stanley bouncing off and going nowhere. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage for Lucius Stanley. Heavy on the run so far, James. 8 rushes and 1 pass, and you've got to remember that Brown only attempted 10 passes coming into the game.
Well, and you know, back to that Virginia Tech game, I'm still not convinced that the plan was in that game to play him a little bit more, throw him a little bit more. When they knew Tyler Van Dyke was out, Garcia started. Brown came in about the 3rd series, and if I believe his one and only throw, he skipped it. And so they kind of scratched that. So they'll pick and choose where they're going to throw him, but obviously won't be able to go the whole game without airing it out a little bit.
10th play of the drive. Brown down to about the 22-yard line, maybe 3 on the play. That is enough for a first down right at the 22.
You know, Tom, off the top, the one question I had was, who in that locker room? There's so much talk about, oh, the coaches need to push these buttons and get these guys to do this. But which of those leaders in that locker room on this football team are going to check everybody's pride and their attitude? And the attitude has been there by this offensive line here early, winning the battles.
Brown, open man inside the 10 and into the end zone. Will Mallory was wide open, 22 yards and a touchdown pass from the freshman Jacurri Brown.
Well, you wanted a little air ball, and you got it. Little play action pass to Rooster, and the pressure right there in Brown's face. He knows he's going to get hit. All he's got to do is get it up there for Will Mallory, who's wide open. A bust in the secondary there for Georgia Tech, and not a bad opening drive for the Miami Hurricanes, capped off by the senior tight end out of Jacksonville, Florida.
First touchdown pass of the season for Brown. Second receiving TD from Mallory. Canes drive it down the field. They are on the board first here in Atlanta. 7-0 Miami.
One for Mallory, and the big tight end getting into the end zone at 7-0.
He's now tied the school record for receiving touchdowns by a tight end with 13. Right now, Mallory is tied with Clive Walford at that number. 8:44 to go. And again, the Canes able to break through. We told you about the game against Virginia that went to 4 overtimes. There were no touchdowns in that game. And last week, they were only able to muster a field goal against the Seminoles. Hassan Hall is the deep man. Borregales to kick it away. So Miami chews up over 6 minutes in that first drive, and Mallory was wide open inside the 10, and he just waltzed into the end zone for the score. Second receiving TD of the season for the veteran tight end Will Mallory. Relatively short kick at the 18, fair catch. So we'll see Zach Pyron for the first time Second start for him. His first, James, was most impressive at Lane Stadium a week ago.
Just tough as can be. Just so gritty. When coaches tell you what they like about him, the first thing they say is his anticipation. He anticipates really well, whether it's the throws, whether it's the rush, the pass rush. He has a great feel for the game. But the thing that stood out to me the most was just how tough he was. I mean, he took shot after shot from Virginia Tech, stood in there and delivered.
Quick release and incomplete from Pyron. Looking for Hall. Time to check on the impact players. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers with the jackets on offense, James.
We had DJ Ivey opposite of Tyreek Stevenson over there. Had a nice interception against Florida State last week. Incredible acrobatic catch. Watch for him today. Nate McCullum, the sophomore wide receiver. Very tough football player. And right on cue, there is number 8. Had some big plays, and that come from behind win last week. So Pyron knows exactly where to go with the football when he needs a little bit of help, a little security blanket.
That was a career day for McCollum a week ago. 7 catches, 103 yards. And as James mentioned, he had a 56-yard touchdown catch and run in the fourth quarter. And then Pyron ran it in later in the fourth from 9 yards away, and those were the game-winning points for Georgia Tech on the road, 28-27. 7 yards for Hall. And that puts the ball at about the 43-yard line of Georgia Tech.
The big surprise to me for Miami last week was how many yards they gave up on the ground to Florida State. This was a solid rush defense going into that football game, the best in the ACC, unable to shut down the Florida State run.
Pyron over the middle, twisting grab, but then the ball came out, picked up by Miami. And they return it to the 45, roughly. So McCollum adjusted to the football. Might have to have further investigation on this one.
Yeah.
We'll get a good look at the replay.
First of all, it looks to me like a catch, and you know, and it's smart. They delay on these whistles, let the play develop. By the defense that plays under further review, knowing that they're going to take another look at it. But the question will be on this: does he have control?
Williams was the defender. The ball came out. The Canes picked it up. While we have a sec, James, let's check on the Ford keys to the game. Canes and Jackets.
Couple shows, the theme I went with, that they shoot right here in Atlanta. For Miami, The Walking Dead. Boy, are they banged up. Not just with the injuries, but licking their wounds coming off that loss to Florida State. So they got to come in here like the Walkers. Hungry and just mad at the world. Wanting to get back at everybody. Georgia Tech, stranger things is shot around here. Bunch of young, bright guys coming together, working complementary monster hunting, or whatever those Russians are, if you will. And the complementary football is what they're playing these days. So there you have it, the keys.
And they're running it with Hall, trying to bounce it outside. It broke a tackle, scampered out at the 35 of Miami. Son Hall, the senior from right here in Atlanta, Georgia, got 6 on the rush. He's the transfer running back from Louisville. Keem Mesidor leads this team in sacks. Sophomore from Ontario, Canada. Swinging out on the edge unsuccessfully. Looking for Hall, number 3. Pyron last week, James, was 19 of 32, 253 yards, a touchdown pass, the 56-yarder to McCollum. And he also ran for 66 yards and the game-winning points. This is offensive coordinator on the sideline, Chip Long. Extending the playbook a little bit more last week for Pyron in his first start. Tried to thread that one. It appeared that Miami had the best chance at it. McCollum was the closest Georgia Tech receiver. It falls incomplete on the synthetic surface here at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Yeah, a couple guys not on the same page, and you're absolutely right. Lucky that he got away with that one. A couple guys breaking off those routes in the same area, and too many bodies drawn right there. Lucky made it to the turf. Here's a 4th down. They're going for it, and they'll get a freebie. Wow.
They had been 5 of 16 on 4th downs this season prior to this 4th and 4 with penalty markers out.
Offside. Defense, number 6, unabated to the quarterback. That 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Can't have it. Can't have it. I know you want to get back there and make something happen. Big Darrell Jackson's had a really good year next to Leonard Taylor. LT has as well. You mentioned Mesidor. Look at that. Got a chance to get off the field instead.
That's a tackle for loss. Hall met by Tyreek Stevenson. He squared him up. It's a 2-yard loss.
Tyreek Stevenson is so much fun to watch at that cornerback spot. That's usually when he's in coverage, when he's defending those passes. Here he brings the wood, following the motion man in, and just continues on with a run blitz and just blowing up the back in the backfield. A loss of 2.
Pirate looking left all the way, and that's incomplete. Through the hands of Hall. The Saint back there threatening the receiver. And now you've got 3rd and long coming up for Georgia Tech. And their interim head coach, Brent Key.
Tom Saint, we didn't get to see him the last time out when we had these Hurricanes. He had some nice plays in that Duke game. He's a very active linebacker, number 31.
Last 3 passes from Pyron have all been incomplete. Here's 3rd and long. Got to get to the 20. Trying to put some touch on this one inside the 10 in traffic. And the Canes come up with the interception. Cameron Kitchens down by the goal line. Beat everybody on the play. Couple defenders back there, and one is down for Miami. Kitchens with the interception, but there is a player down for the Canes.
Two big safeties in this game for Miami, both very young. And how about that? Not only the break on the ball, but able to hang on to the football, go up and high point it and be aggressive. That's one thing, both offensively and defensively. It looks like Kitchens is going to stay in, so this call will stand as those guys will take a look at the injuries over there. But a guy who plays high school ball.
Miami as a team right down by about the 1 or 2 yard line, James.
Yeah, the 3 interceptions coming in, tied for 2nd in the ACC. There's Tyreek Stevenson with the coverage there from his cornerback spot. And Kitchens doing a great job of staying in bounds. And it was Stevenson who was slow to get up. He got up okay. And then for Georgia Tech, it was Nate McCullum who made his way across the field under his own power. So good to see both those guys jump up. But these 2 safeties, Kitchens is 5'11", 200 pounds, and he's a big guy. But James Williams, he's about 6'5", 215. We saw them both in this game last year. That was a heck of a game down in Miami, a 33-30 final.
That game was played in early November. Tyler Van Dyke played in that game, James. 389 yards passing and 3 TD passes. Van Dyke not available today. While we have a message from Works Nitro.
Meet Works Nitro. Powerful tools for any project with gas-like power without the gas. Fueled by PowerShare batteries to give you the power to outperform.
Their own territory, operating out of the end zone, up the middle. And that's Lucius Stanley creating a little bit of breathing room. He got 5 on the carry, out beyond the 5-yard line to the 6 for Stanley. He's a senior from Fort Myers, Florida. As James mentioned, Henry Parrish Jr. unavailable today, did not make the trip for the Canes out of that running back position. And now 2nd and 6.
Nice gains early in this game by Brown and that offense on 1st down. It sets up so much more, makes things easier on these next few plays.
Rashard Smith trying to work in space up near the 20. 1st down Miami. Quick toss and then the run from Smith up that near sideline, 14 yards.
Nice job by Restrepo out there on the edge, blocking the perimeter, helped these big plays hit. And Rashard Smith healthy again and back out there. And if you're a Miami Hurricane fan watching this game right now, it's got to feel good. You had to wonder, what kind of fight are they going to come to the ballpark with today? Well, in the first quarter, they've certainly been playing with some popping, with a little bit of hunger and a little bit of fight.
Timeout call by Miami. Mario Cristobal, the first-year head coach. 11th year as a head coach at the collegiate ranks. 38 wins in the last 4 seasons prior to this year as the head coach at Oregon. A couple of Pac-12 championships. Deciding to talk it over with his team. His freshman quarterback, Jacurri Brown, has already thrown a TD pass in this game. 22 yards to Will Mallory in the opening possession of the game for Miami. We're inside of 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. We check in with Wiley.
Well, Tom, we talked about the freshman at quarterback in this game, but how about the freshman safety for the Yellow Jackets, Clayton Powell-Lee? He's a second-generation Yellow Jacket. His father, Gary, was a superstar at Georgia Tech, a kick returner. But that's not to say Clayton Powell was a co-founder of the National Optometrist Association and was a huge influence over minorities in optometry.
Great information, Wiley. Incomplete pass from Brown. Powell-Lee last week, an interception, a fumble recovery. What a fourth quarter by his defense a week ago in Blacksburg. They got 17 points in total off of turnovers. There were 4 of them in the game. A key field goal late in the second quarter, James. Everything that needed to go right for Georgia Tech to come back and win that game happened. It was amazing.
And this freshman right here, they call him CP3, the ACC Defensive Back of the Week. So a second down and 10 now for the Canes.
Brown out of the pocket, stumbles down 25-yard line, tackled around the ankles. Charlie Thomas, who last week had 16 tackles, a career high. 6 yards for Brown.
Yeah, and it looked like Brown was going to get stopped right about the line of scrimmage, maybe even a loss, as Micaiah Scott shoved his would-be blocker, but it's just that burst, that step through the line makes this a little bit more manageable here now. A 3rd down and 4.
2 for 2 in the game on 3rd down, 41% for the season, 5th in the ACC. Brown releases incomplete at the 28. Off of the fingertips of the receiver, Colby Young, who's been impressive this year as a sophomore receiver from Miami, but he couldn't hang on to that one. And you don't say that very often when it comes to 88 in green, orange, and white.
Yeah, that's a good point. But, you know, a lot of times those have been not so much in the traffic. You know, we've seen them in the back of the end zone, down the sideline, some amazing one-handed catches this year. That one got a little bit short on the arms, knowing that there were some Yellow Jackets coming. So the Jacket defense able to get off the field here on this punt that they forced.
Lou Headley, the senior from Australia. Malik Rutherford, the deep man. He's going to watch it bounce near the 40. And we'll take a Miami bounce and roll inside the 30-yard line to the 29. The punt of 45 yards from Lou Headley after Miami was unable to convert on 3rd down. So Coach Key's team drove it down the field, but an interception deep in Miami territory by Cameron Kinchens. And as James mentioned, his 4th of the season amongst the leaders in the ACC in interceptions. Up the middle, there's a hole, breaking away Smith. He's at midfield and toppled on the Miami side of the 50. Smith for 23 yards and tackled by Kitchens.
Tay Smith, such a bright spot in the win over Virginia Tech last week. He provided the spark from the running game, and boy, did they need it. Huge difference in last week's game, and here he's going to get dropped behind the line of scrimmage, though, Tom.
You're right about last week, though, James. 9 carries, 85 yards, and a rushing touchdown of 29 yards in the first quarter. against the Hokies. He stiff-armed a couple of defenders and took it to the house. Rogers and Kinchins on the tackle. A loss of 1.
Provides so much for a young quarterback when that running game's working. I mean, imagine when they've got you one-dimensional, they can pin those ears back and just dare you to throw it. But when you can run that football and they've got to respect that run, it changes it up and makes it a lot easier for these quarterbacks. And Jacurri Brown has seen that so far in this game.
Will play fake and throw incomplete. Malachi Carter, one of the seniors honored prior to the game, was the intended receiver. James, you remember senior day with the head ball coach and the exchange prior to the game?
I do.
Can you give us an impression?
We played South Carolina back in the swamp, and the Florida Gators are playing the South Carolina Gamecocks today back there. I was just thinking about that when I was watching these seniors come out. Special day. Some of these seniors like Malachi Carter.
Inside the 45-yard line on the rush from Pyron. He had misfired on his 4 previous pass attempts, so they decided to keep it on the ground.
And so I don't leave you hanging. It was probably something along the lines of, all right, Batesy, my man, go get him.
That's it?
Yeah, that's probably. Oh, yeah.
I was looking for a lot more.
No. It wasn't like the hug that Charlie Thomas got from Brett Key just moments ago.
The bear hug, the emotion. I mean, that was tough not to break down up here in the booth just watching it.
Yeah. Miami will set up in a punt safe look right here. All in this situation in their own territory. We've already given them a freebie on a 4th down via the penalty. Want to make sure they're not faking this and they punt it away.
Shanahan the punt. Jacoby George. Successful fair catch at about the 6. Now he'll go change his uniform. Usually he changes to 16 when he goes on offense. After he plays special teams as the return man. There you go.
Wait, is it 16 or 15? 15.
It's 15?
15,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, we've had several Miami games, and he likes to mess with us a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes he doesn't change. And I had 36 written down just earlier when I gave Restrepo a pat on the back for blocking on the perimeter. I looked down, and all I saw was a 36. I couldn't find the 15. I should have known it was our man Jacoby George.
So the Canes once again field position, not what they're looking for. They started the last drive from the 2 after an interception by Kinchins. That is Restrepo, and give him a lot of credit this season, James. He's bounced back from injury. Wallace on the tackle. 4 yards on the play.
Restrepo, just a sophomore, 24 catches last year as a freshman. He missed 5 games and saw a little bit of action. Cristobal said he had him on a pitch count up in Blacksburg. A little bit more action last week and continues to grow a little bit more this week here for the sophomore.
Knighton is the back. Met just beyond the 10. Clayton Powell lead, 29 in Tech Gold. And only 2 for Knighton.
Nice job by Clayton Powell Lee. You see it, go react and go make it. Don't wait 5 yards down the field for those little backs to get out there in space and you give them a 2-way go. Get them on the edge of that line where they've got a 1-way go and take it to them. Nice play defensively to force a 3rd down and 4 here deep in their own territory now, Miami.
Brown complete. Latson Jr. wrestles his way past the 30-yard line. Georgia Tech trying to pry it free. Latson Jr. hangs on. He's got 19.
Yeah, a little bit of cushion for him. He's going to get that catch, and then he refuses to go down, even though Georgia Tech is saying, today, Junior. How about the takeaways there for the Jackets defense? There's Tyler Van Dyke. Tried to make it work in the rivalry matchup down in South Florida last weekend and re-injured that shoulder, throwing away the football, and Jake Garcia came in, as did Jacurri Brown. Jacurri Brown starting today, though.
Brown is tackled by Sylvain Yanjuen, also one of the seniors honored prior to the game. Pursuit from Yanjuen, number 32.
Yeah, look at him. Flatten out, adjust that angle, and give it all you can, because when Brown decides to hit those jets, He gone. So that's a nice hustle from a guy who's got an incredible motor there, backing up Keon White from Belgium. Sylvain Young Jr.
That 6'4", 257 frame hustling after the quarterback. There's Brown again, eludes a couple of jackets and takes it out beyond the 35 to the 37 or so. 5 yards on the rush from Jacurri Brown. So, go ahead, James. Go ahead, James.
Well, just one thing that I've noticed here is you know, Jacurri Brown can make guys miss in the open field, Tom, but he's making these rushers, these pass rushers miss time and time again just with his initial step, his escapability to get out of there. There have been a couple times where he looks like he's not going to gain anything, and he gets a few.
3rd and 5. Knighton up near midfield and a first down. Miles Sims on the tackle, 13 yards for Jaylon Knighton, the freshman.
Yeah, and these big guys getting up and going. It sends everybody on the defense thinking, well, they're moving those big guys for a reason. They're pulling them around there. They come out the backside with Knighton, and then it's up to Knighton to get it done and move those chains. And once again, a big pickup and a first down thanks to the Rooster.
5 carries and 37 yards so far in the game for Knighton. Play fake and throw at the 40. A catch was made. That's Colby Young. Had a key block on the previous play. Makes the grab here. 11 yards. First down.
Good protection. Stands in there strong and delivers it to Colby Young, who, after we've seen him make so many of those big-time plays, had 0 catches, believe it or not, against the Seminoles last week.
From the 39 of Georgia Tech, Knighton's the back. He's got the football. Hole on the left side. Drags the defender inside the 30, and that could be first down yardage. Clayton Powell-Lee had to take him down. They got 10 of the chains are moving.
You know, a little bit more want-to out of Knighton than we've seen this year. You know, he's got those turnovers behind him, feeling good about himself right now, and that's the kind of running style that was nice to see from this football team against Virginia from Parrish, but is coming for number 4 here today, Knighton, with another first down.
Brown has hit 4 different receivers so far. Wants to throw it down the middle of the field. Restrepo reaching for it, and he couldn't get there. Just too far for Xavier Restrepo, the sophomore.
Andrew Thacker's team has done a good job of pressuring throughout the season, but they're not getting anywhere close to Brown right now, and that's a tough one, though. That would have been a beautiful throw, and if anybody's going to go up and get it, it's even the shorter guy, and Xavier Restrepo at 5'10", but still decent coverage there that you have to get it up over.
Miami's had the ball twice as much as Georgia Tech so far. Brown takes off. 20. Hurdles his way to a first down near the 15-yard line. Jumping around and over Sims.
Design quarterback run here, and a good job. That time it was the big offensive lineman. We don't even have 73 on our roster, Tom, but good job, 73. Here we go.
Efforting.
Oh, that's Cooper. And that's Cooper, I'm sorry. Started the last couple of games. Changed from his 55.
13 yards on the previous play in the run by Brown. Modest gain from Franklin, maybe a yard.
Miami coaches are pretty high on Cooper. Young man leading up 3 plays ago. And also this young running back, Thad Franklin, carried that last ball.
We're now inside the red zone, brought to you by CBI Security. The 12th play of the drive coming up right here for Miami in the red zone. 84% this season. That is 6th in the ACC. Brown, 10-yard line. Down near the 8. Keon White on the stop. 7 yards for Brown. And so far, James, his running ability has proven to be a weapon against Coach Key's defense.
And one thing that Coach Key's defense, Andrew Thacker's defense, needs to do a little bit better job of is whether it's a big pulling offensive lineman or Mallory in that case, they've got to set that edge. They've got to go meet those blockers. Not give these runners so much space out there on the edge. Here's a 3rd down and short.
20 touchdowns in the red zone this season for Miami. It's down to the 5. Stanley just inside the 5. And that is enough to set up 1st and goal for Miami. He got 4 on the run. So Miami, James, 10th in the ACC in rushing this season. They have set the tone with the ground game.
Hasn't looked that way, has it early in this one here in Atlanta.
The touchdown came through the air. Brown to Mallory in the 1st quarter on the opening drive for Miami. Brown still has it, lofts it to the front corner of the end zone, and stepping in for the touchdown, Jaylon Skinner. It's a 4-yard touchdown pass, and the 2nd of the game for Jacurri Brown.
Somebody call up Emilio Estevez. They got the young guns out there producing here today. Jaylon Skinner, the freshman out of Greer, South Carolina, the play pass. Nice read there by Brown. And Skinner's been big to step in for the injured Elijah Arroyo.
Second TD pass of the game for Brown, finding Skinner. That's his 1st touchdown reception of the year, and he's all smiles on that sideline.
Well, they call it tight end U for a reason. Touchdown number 1 to Will Mallory, a tight end, and number 2, a tight end as well. Jaylon Skinner this time.
No matter what the weather.
Freshman Brown and the Rooster, the sophomore from Deerfield Beach. And there's Brown getting it done on the ground, and, well, I guess through the air at the end of that one. And with the pass, he hasn't thrown it a lot here in this 1st half, but when he has, he's been pretty good. A big smile over there from Jaylon Skinner after that touchdown catch. Drive that went 14 plays, 93 yards. First touchdown drive was over 6 minutes. That one over 7 minutes.
James, you read my mind. Both of the drives by Miami, time consuming. The first one was 6 minutes, 16 seconds to open the game. The second drive, concluded just a moment ago on the Jaylon Skinner 4-yard touchdown grab, was 7 minutes and 31 seconds. And it's 14-0 Miami. Hassan Hall is deep, waiting for the kick from Borregales. He will not take it out of the end zone. While we have a moment, a message from Wrangler. And keep in mind, Miami last week against Florida State, a total of 188 yards of offense for the entire game. It's been a different story so far today as we play in the 2nd quarter against Georgia Tech for the Canes. Pyron, 30, 35, Pyron, 1st down.
Well, a nice read here by the freshman. Pyron holds it in that belly for a long time, and then he'll pull it and go and beat everybody out to the edge. Nice blocking down the field for him as well. And this is the kind of run and the kind of spark that lit up a little bit of a fire in his football team time after time in Blacksburg, Virginia, in the come-from-behind win last week.
Pyron had 17 carries for 66 yards in the game-winning touchdown run. Pressured, got away from one of the top sacking teams in the league in Miami, and that's about the 39-yard line. The Saint wraps up Pyron 2 yards. Miami averages almost 4 sacks per game, James, 2nd best in the ACC. Carries and 19 yards so far for Pyron. Hands this one off. Drop for a loss. Hassan Hall back at the 36-yard line. Loss of 2. Jordan Miller on the tackle. We check in with Wiley.
Well, Tom, you just mentioned Wesley Bissain had that big stop on the first down play. He's a guy making his first career start today. He's really impressed Coach Cristobal, and he comes from Miami Central, one of the top programs in South Florida. He and his high school coach, Roland Smith, actually won the state championship each of the last 3 seasons. And when I asked Coach Cristobal about Bissain, he said, he's the type of player that I played with here at Miami. Extremely high on the freshman linebacker making his first career start today.
Yeah, Wiley, how important was he? He said the first day we got to town. Well, let's let this third down go here.
McCollum, the intended receiver, and incomplete. Kinchins in coverage, James.
And just to finish up, I thought it was funny as we take a look at this play here. Nice protection and a decent throw, but in traffic. A scary one from Pyron. But Bissain, Mario Cristobal told us, he said, you know, we had just flown 9 hours from Eugene, Oregon, and after the press conference, I gave my wife a kiss and patted the kids on the head and said, bye, guys. And they said, wait, where are you going? I said, I got to go get Wesley. He got him. And showing you why here today, making plays all over the field early in this game.
Shanahan puts it out of bounds. It was a wobbler. Might have been a little bit off the hosel from Shanahan. All right, 7:25 to go in the second quarter. And right now, it's all Hurricanes after a 28-yard punt from Shanahan. Virginia lost at home, James, as you referenced, 37-7 to visiting Pitt earlier today. All right, time for a hearty start to watch, and it's an obvious call right now. Jacurri Brown, 2 touchdown passes in the first half.
Yeah, after playing a little bit against Florida State and looking pretty good at times when he was in there at 64 yards rushing there. He's rushed for 52 already today. And coming back home, played his high school ball in Valdosta down at the state line where Florida and Georgia meet. Played at Lowndes County High School. Randall Godfrey, really good linebacker back in the day. Played the Dallas Cowboys and up the road in Athens for the Georgia Bulldogs. All the Drews, J.D. Drew, Stephen Drew, baseball players, couple World Series champions. They went to Lowndes County. Tim Drew.
Brown got hit as he handed off. Knighton directing some traffic across midfield. Knighton on the carry from Miami. Brooks forced him out of bounds. Brown took a shot 25 yards.
Boom. Yeah, that's it'll make you think twice about reading a little bit too long. He pops right back up, though, because he's fired up. What happened, the end result? And the end result down the field is because of all that great blocking down the field. These Miami receivers have done a fantastic job of getting on it on the perimeter, and that's where you get those big plays, where you spring those big hitters. They haven't had a whole lot of those, especially on the ground. But they keep blocking like that, and they'll get a few more.
217 total yards for Miami, trying to add to that total. Brown improvising, got away around the ankles, and he threw it incomplete.
That should be grounding because I don't think it made it back to the line of scrimmage.
There is a flag on the play.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 9. Throwing into an area, there's no eligible receiver. So lots of down at the spot of the foul. Second down.
Mike Roche is our referee this afternoon.
They finally get to him, and Brown almost able to escape a few shirt tackles as he's going down. He hucks it away, and not only nobody around it, but also didn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. So a big loss. It had been a drought for this Georgia Tech defense leading up to the Virginia Tech game. They had only had 1 sack in 2 games. They finally had 5 sacks in the win over the Hokies last week. And they get a big one right here, so it's 2nd down and 19.
21 total sacks for Georgia Tech starting the afternoon. It's visited Miami, 27th all-time meeting. Teams have split them right down the middle. 13 wins for each program, including Miami's 3-point win at home last year when the teams played in 2021. Haven't played here in Atlanta since 2018. Georgia Tech defending the home turf, 27-21, and here's third down.
Got to keep them in front of you. Don't let them run by you to give up the big play, which we've seen a few times here from this secondary.
5 of 6 on third down in the game for Brown and the Canes. Third and long. Out of the pocket. Dropped at the 42-yard line. Had to get to the 30 of Georgia Tech, well short. Kyle Kennard, number 9 on the tackle. 7 yards on the run by Brown, and it's fourth down. Punting situation for Miami as Headley comes onto the field.
Brown immediately taking off there, and still a big chunk of change left, so Headley coming in, and he's done a good job of pinning these returners deep.
High fly ball on the infield. McCollum, the deep man, gets away. It's bouncing towards the goal line, and that's where the Canes field it, right at the 1. 40-yard punt from Headley pins the Jackets. Now Blades Jr. down there to field it right at the goal line.
Well, McCollum needs to step up and catch that one. He's a tough guy. He lets it drop, takes a Canes bounce, and you know that name, don't you? Al Blades Jr. right on the goal line. Textbook. It's 14-0 Miami. It's both half after the nice punt by Lou Headley to pin them right down inside their own 1. Couple key plays as we look back at this first half for Miami, and a couple busts from this defense. Lined up in the backfield both times, these tight ends. That time it was Will Mallory on touchdown number 1. There you see, and the power offset eye look to Skinner sneaking out of the backfield and nobody there for him. So something they got to get cleaned up. Right now, or at least at halftime, but they're starting their own paint on offense.
From inside the 1, Byron. Completed up to the 8 to Malachi Carter, the senior from Lawrenceville, Georgia. 7 yards on the connection to number 7.
Surprising they've gone the way of Tyreek Stevenson so much here in this first half. One of the best cornerbacks in the country, really.
Pirate again. Other side of the field, McCollum. Out of bounds at the 13. Jacurri Couch escorted him out. 5 yards to McCollum. His touchdown catch and run last week, James, against Virginia Tech. High level of skill involved.
Well, both of those receivers, Tom, Malachi Carter, the senior, and the sophomore McCollum, both key in that win.
Miami also won at Virginia Tech this season. Felix on the carry, driven back. It's a loss of 2.
And Felix, one of these youngsters that they're high on, that, you know, a bunch of freshmen that they decided to bring up and play a little bit. Look at Kevin Steele, longtime defensive coordinator and a good one in college football. He's got some great minds over there working with him as well. Charlie Strong, one of them.
Second and long, ground game. Felix doing all the legwork up to the 15, maybe the 16. Got wrapped up there, post play. Moultrie was in there, 44. Also, number 24, Kitchens. He's got the interception. As Georgia Tech was driving in the first quarter, they got 4 yards on the play. The ball's at the 15.
Tough situation right here. 3rd and long for an offense that really hasn't been clicking as of yet. Be careful. Don't turn the football over and give them the short field just moments before halftime.
Yeah, 0 for 3 on 3rd down for the Yellow Jackets. Byron. Sideline and sliding. We're going to mark the start of the slide at about the 26. That is first down yardage, 12 on the run from Byron.
Well, Cane fans, I know, but you know what? I've seen it on the other side a couple times. So the one thing is at least they're being consistent in the holding or lack thereof with the calls here today.
Wide open receiver down at the 40. That's Felix. The pass was on schedule from Byron. 14 yards. Move those chains again for the Yellow Jackets.
When they get the tempo going, this goes back even as far as the Florida State game, which was a loss for Georgia Tech, when Byron has been at his best, when they've had the tempo and they've kind of put the pedal down a little bit like they have on these last 2 plays now.
Byron again to the air, and that's wide of the target. Looking for E.J. Jenkins. 0 for Georgia Tech. 0 in coverage, James Williams. That loss for Georgia Tech that you referenced, James, at Florida State, 41-16. But Byron, he had a rushing touchdown late in that game, and it was a glimpse of things to come from this young man after his start last week and success on the road in Blacksburg. 8th play of the drive. They're running up the middle. Pile moves past the 45-yard line. Jamie Felix. 6 yards on the carry.
Tackle made by Darrell Jackson Jr. That'll bring them 3rd down and 4. Ball on the 46-yard line.
Quickly over that ball for 3rd down and 4 now. And you know, one thing that stands out is all of these completions, all these passes today, it wasn't the same last week. He's had to earn them. Here comes the blitz off the edge.
1st down, Byron. 40-yard line, dragging a Kane tackler with him. 14 yards. Couch on the tackle. 1st down, Georgia Tech. The wreck is moving. Keep an eye on the clock, James, as well.
Yeah, nice little play here. They're bringing the blitz, so you've got man coverage and backs turned there in the secondary. If you can get past that first wave, which Byron does, 1st down and then some. We're near a minute left in the half.
Byron. Throw was behind the intended receiver. It's Ryan King, number 11. And maybe Stevenson had a better chance at it. Miami already has an interception in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be right there coming into your screen late. Throwing a little bit behind Stevenson, but a lot behind Ryan King. And there's one more the Jackets are lucky to get back. Almost turnover number 2 in the first half.
Remember, this drive started at the 1 with about 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Byron has it. You'd think they'd utilize a timeout here. They've got the full complement. Coach Key will signal as such to stop the clock with 54 seconds to go in the 2nd quarter. So Georgia Tech trying to get on the board late in the 2nd quarter. You are watching ACC football from Atlanta, Georgia. Sidelines. He wanted that holding call the worst way, James, and now Georgia Tech has to manage the clock with less than a minute to go.
Well, and I'm sure everybody watching that's pulling for the guys in the orange jerseys agree, but there have been a few that we've talked about on the other side. They're letting them play, and you know that's college football anymore. And it's, you know, and I think it's just because, hey, it's more fun to watch these points being scored than it is, oh, I don't know, perhaps a 4 overtime game where no touchdowns are scored. Maybe that's just me. I like defense too.
I remember that one. Jake Garcia, the 2-point conversion to win it in the 4th overtime. Smith. He goes out of bounds near the 30-yard line. Georgia Tech is trying to avoid being shut out in the first half for the 3rd time this season, as Smith got 6 yards.
Well, it was a big field goal at the end of the first half against Virginia Tech to gain a little bit of that momentum that had been taken away from them. Gavin Stewart's been pretty good for them, and Georgia Tech will get the ball to start the 2nd half.
Flags are out. Smith had the football. Was Saint the aggressive defensive play? Was it overzealous?
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 23. Failed to be enforced at the end of the run. After distance to the goal, 1st down.
What is this, just the 2nd penalty on Miami here so far today? It's actually on 23. That's who they'll call for it.
Yeah, that's Couch, James.
To Corey Couch. coming in there. And it's a shame because it was completely unnecessary. Let's go in a hurry, but I guess the damage is done. So it was the fourth down offsides earlier that helped a drive by Georgia Tech, and this is a big one here with 41 seconds left.
Byron to the right, trying to make a move near the 10 and shoved out of bounds. Dante Smith. That's 5 yards.
Defensively, Miami, as we go inside this CPI red zone. I'll get it for you, Tom.
Thank you, James.
I got you. But
Appreciate the assist.
Don't forget about Pyron. Pyron burnt Virginia Tech last week, and he's hurt Miami a couple times in these situations running the football here today. Don't forget about Zach Pyron.
Pyron, end zone. Back edge of the end zone and caught for a touchdown. 9 yards to Nate McCollum. Georgia Tech scores late in the second quarter.
Wow, what a nice ball. It hasn't been quite as smooth here early in this first half as it was last week, but Pyron, when they need him the most, right before halftime, delivering to Nate McCollum.
What a throw by Pyron. Third passing TD of the season. Nate McCollum, third receiving TD, a 15-play, 99-yard drive.
Yeah, remember it started all the way back at their own 1-yard line. And look at that catch. Tyreek Stevenson right there in his hip pocket has a hand in his face, and the concentration by McCollum, you can't cover it any better than that. And you also can't throw it any better than that either. Great throw by the true freshman. And the concentration to hang on by Nate McCollum.
And somehow, James, to get that right foot inbounds just as he put his hands around the football. I mean, the coverage from Stevenson was adequate. The throw by Pyron was exceptional.
I'd like to know the percentage of throws that they have gone the direction of number 2. They continue to go right at him. This time it pays off in the back of the end zone. Tyreek Stevenson, the junior out of Miami Southbridge, started his playing days just up the road in Athens for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Smith. Let's get a message from Green Machine.
With our 62-volt battery-powered blower in your...
So as Miami comes out with 25 seconds to go against Andrew Thacker's defense, that drive of 99 yards by Georgia Tech, longest of the season. They also had a 94-yard TD drive against Duke. That was a game they won here in overtime. 23-20 as Duke missed a 52-yarder in OT, and Gavin Stewart had the game winner against Duke. That was a 37-yard field goal in OT. Miami wants to get it to the locker room. We also did that game too, James. What a win for Georgia Tech. In fact, they had already beaten Pitt the week before on the road, and then they beat Duke here at home. And we want to make sure there is no activity at the end of this quarter. Yeah, let's not let it escalate. That's the key.
Keep it cool. Keep it clean.
That is.
Get out there. They're going to have to do a better job of dropping them. But first things first, Borregales will kick it away, and it'll be Georgia Tech ball to start this second half. Free gloves handed out today.
Did you get your gloves?
I did. They're a little bit small.
One size does not fit all. Second half, Bobby Dodd Stadium. Hassan Hall will sail over his head and bounce through the end zone. Georgia Tech drive at the end of the half. 15 plays, 99 yards. And that's at the bottom there. The McCollum TD reception of 9 yards from Pyron. Not a whole lot happening prior to that final drive.
And that coming just moments after a face mask penalty, aiding the drive a little bit to get them down closer to the goal line. Just 3 penalties for Miami, 0 for Georgia Tech, by the way, in that first half.
161 yards of total offense for Georgia Tech in the first half, trailing by just 7. Pass complete. McCollum goes out of bounds. Couch was draped all over. That's just a 3-yard completion.
That's fine. You'll take that all day. Jacurri Couch, Jr. from Fort Lauderdale area, played at Chaminade, top program down there in high school. Just keep them in front, make them earn it all the way down the field. That's when those mistakes happen. You give up those big plays. It goes without saying, it's a little bit easier for them to move it down there.
Byron looking for an alley. Nowhere to go against the Canes defense. Jafari Harvey and a loss of 1 for Byron. Jordan Miller also involved.
We saw Byron take some shots last week. Closing in a hurry, Harvey. Letting him hear it a little bit after the big lick. So a 3rd down and long here to start this second half now for the Jackets. And an empty set for Byron. Stay in those rush lanes. Make sure someone accounts for the quarterback here.
Canes get credit for a sack on the previous play. The pass is behind the intended receiver, Malachi Carter. So Georgia Tech has to send the punting unit onto the field to start the 3rd quarter.
You know, the one interception that Miami's come up with has been a heck of a play. Kinson's getting over there and pulling that football away, but really Byron lucky that it's not 2 or 3. A couple of those balls thrown into traffic and off the mark or punted away.
Colby George. Looked like that one got caught up in the breeze a little bit. Took a Yellow Jacket bounce inside the 40. The punt from Shanahan. That's a 34-yard punt. Reasonably good field position. Yellow flag. Not a flag on top of Bobby Dodd Stadium, which, by the way, is the oldest on-campus facility in the Football Bowl subdivision.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, kicking team number 15. 15-yard penalty to be added to the end of the kick. First down.
They called it 15. It was 15 that got hit, and 40. That's Tatum, backup linebacker for Georgia Tech. And it wasn't a very good punt to start with, so it's favorable field position.
It's actually the first penalty by Georgia Tech in the game, and that marks the football up at the 46-yard line of Georgia Tech. A couple of TD passes and the possessions in the first half from Brown. He hit Mallory and Skinner. Mallory tied the school record for tight end receiving touchdowns. He's up to 13. Skinner got his first of the year. Restrepo outside the numbers and taking him down around the waist. Miles Brooks. 3 yards to Restrepo, the sophomore from Coconut Creek, Florida. He's playing in just his 5th game this season. Brown's making his first start. Tyler Van Dyke initially injured in that home game against Duke. This is Knighton trying to bounce his way off to the left side inside the 40. That was a game where Garcia had to come in through a couple of TD passes early in the second half, and then the Blue Devils just ran away with it. 8 turnovers in the game for Miami in that loss at home to Duke. And then Van Dyke unable to play in the 4 overtime win on the road at Virginia. In fact, Miami is 2-0 in the ACC on the road and both in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yeah, that Duke game was an adventure, and not in a good way for these Miami Hurricanes. Mike Elko, hats off to the first-year head coach there in Durham. How about this? Behind the line of scrimmage, they finally get to him.
Hats off to the Georgia Tech D. Loss of one as they swallowed up Brown. Careful now. Post-whistle activity. Keon White is number 6, and White. Now he and Colby Young in a discussion.
Put him on the mosh pit. Pass me around. All right. So they've got the offense still in there, though, on this 4th down and 4.
All right, 9 of 19 on the season. On 4th down for Mario Cristobal's team. Overload the right side.
Seeing if they could draw him off sides. Doesn't work. Good try. I like it. Why wouldn't you do it? It helped Georgia Tech earlier in the game. So here comes Headley. And Lou Headley, who had an incredible punt earlier, just before halftime.
Now, he did pin him at the 1, James, but Georgia Tech drove it 99 yards, right?
Yeah. Well, Nate McCullum needs to step up and get this one if it's similar to that last punt.
He's ranging over to his right, throws the fake. The ball goes into the end zone. Now, once that football crosses the plane of the goal line, regardless of where the player is, that's a touchback. The player can be in the end zone. It's all about the ball. 45 yards on the punt. Close to pinning him again. Georgia Tech has the football when we come back.
But he's the hungriest in the jungle. And Akeem Messidor's been pretty hungry this year, leading the team in sacks.
Yeah, I'll say, Wiley, 8.5 sacks to be exact. Nice job by Akeem and taking care of you right there, Wiley Ballard. Messidor in on the tackle. His mentor saying to him when he said he wanted to quit football, he said, no way, eh? Gave him a jelly donut and said, get back in there. Jelly donut coming.
3.5 sacks in that win on the road at Virginia Tech for Miami. In fact, they're 2-2 in their last 4 games. Georgia Tech coming off the win on the road at Virginia Tech a week ago after losing 2 in a row. When Key took over, they won 2 in a row. That was the win on the road at Pitt and overtime against Duke right here.
I think another flag just came down. Guys getting up from the pile and banging into each other. Each side pointing at the other.
Mike Roche is our referee.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 90 on the defense for a late knockdown. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
2 minutes for high sticking to the Canadian. Akeem Messidor, and that's a costly one. I mean, back-to-back plays, you shut down the run, and there he is right there in the middle. He gets thrown a little bit at the end, and somewhere in there, the officials didn't like what they saw. So, gosh, you had a big 3rd down coming up, and you bail them out. It's 1st down and 10 now for Georgia Tech.
5 penalties for 40 yards against Miami. That's Hall. Not a whole lot available. 3 Miami players converge on Hall. Nine and a half minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Tom, Miami back to their ways that they had been most of the season prior to last week of shutting down the run game. They've been pretty good of clogging it up here in Atlanta so far today. Where they've gotten hurt a couple times is from the legs of the quarterback, Pyro. Hall
close to the 45. Kitchens on the tackle of Hassan Hall.
Six-yard gain on the play. It's 3rd down and 3.
It's going to be 3rd and 3 after a 6-yard gain. 3 of 7 for Georgia Tech on 3rd down. Football at its own 44-yard line. Byron's pass. Hall trying to create in space, and he slid down. Back to the line of scrimmage. Jacurri Couch made sure he went no further, and now it's 4th down again for Georgia Tech.
Kevin Steele's guys have done a good job on a lot of those perimeter plays, the swing passes like that one right there. Jacurri Couch reads it and reacts in a hurry. Gets off the spot, nowhere to go. He's got his buddies with him, put them in the good vice angles, drop them, and get off the field.
Shanahan. George let it bounce at the 20. It'll come to rest about the 16 or so. That's a punt of 40 yards from David Shanahan. Miami's got the lead in the football in the 3rd quarter with 7:48.
From South Florida, a little bit like down in Coral Gables, University of Miami. Got a whole bunch of city, a lot going on all around you. And then campus, and a beautiful campus at that, both this one and the University of Miami, sitting right smack dab in the middle of it all. And we're in the middle of a pretty good football game here in Midtown tonight.
Bobby Dodd was the head coach here at Georgia Tech from 1945 to 1966. At one point, they had a 31-game unbeaten streak here at the stadium that would be named for him. At least three markers out there, maybe 4.
Ball start. Offense, number 74. It's a 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
They can't start this again. Go back to that Virginia Tech game. Don't know if there was a cadence call by Georgia Tech or a movement that Cristobal didn't like, but he didn't like any of that. And it was the end of that Georgia Tech game where it got way too interesting because of these false starts, and now they're backing it up closer to that student section of Georgia Tech, making some noise right now.
Miami had 17 penalties in that win at Virginia Tech, 20-14. Not much. There is no gain. James, first 3 possessions of the game for Miami, 2 touchdowns.
In the first half, Tom, I was telling you they had to do a better job on the perimeter of attacking these big blockers. Go attack them right now. Set that edge, and they do just that. An excellent play. That time, Zamari Walton firing in there. May not get credited with the tackle, but he certainly helped his buddies coming from the inside to force a 2nd down and long.
Throws on the run, open man at the 30, incomplete. Frank Ladson Jr. 2nd catch of the game, 23 yards, 1st down Miami.
Georgia Tech finally with a little bit of pressure. There's the push inside up against Ja'Kai Clark. Brown forced the bail and does an excellent job of not just tucking it and running like I'm sure he could have, and I'm sure he did back at Lowndes High School. Looking downfield, Ladson's waiting on him, fires it, and a big pickup on a 3rd down and long from near their own end zone.
Ladson Jr. is the transfer from Clemson. So after the Canes scored a couple of TDs on their first 3 possessions of the game, James, the last 3 prior to this possession, punt, end of the half, and punt, trying to get a little traction here in the 3rd.
2nd down and 7, ball on the 37.
Thad Franklin has come in as the running back to the left. It's Jacurri Brown. A pass incomplete. Looking for Colby Young.
Brown's pass incomplete.
has 1 catch for 11 yards so far, James.
Well, 0 catches last week against the Knowles, and this one has to stretch for it, but still, that's a catchable football and one that really needs to be caught, especially from a guy like Young. We've seen him make some incredible catches, one-handed even, throughout the season. So instead, it's a 3rd down and 6. Jackets trying to get the crowd pumped up one more time, trying to get a 3rd down stop.
Five of 8 on 3rd down. Brown is pressured, flips it out to Franklin. It gets up near the 40. That's at least 4 yards short of the line to gain. Only 2 there. 4th down for Miami.
So defense, some nice adjustments there against the run at halftime. Brent Key mentioned to Wiley Ballard coming out of that halftime locker room. These are some things that we have to see in this second half. So far, anyway, they've done a good job of coaching them up, and they've taken care of business, forcing another punt.
Headley back on the field for Miami. McCollum waits at his 19. That bounces inside the 10 and checks up at about the 8. Oh, he used the lob wedge there. 52 yards on the punt. And once again, Headley forces Georgia Tech to start deep in its own territory. Our backdrop, the skyline of Atlanta, Georgetown.
Look at that offensive line that came fired up into Atlanta. Did a good job firing off the ball, and those big guys getting around and pulling, and then the guys on the perimeter blocking as well, doing their job. And Jaylon Knighton did not make the trip. A couple injuries there back in camp. Some running backs for Miami. A bunch of injuries along that offensive line, and they've done a good job so far in this game here today.
Pump and throw over the middle. Complete, breaking away. McCollum to midfield, and finally taken down. Kitchens had to catch him. McCollum on the run for 43 yards and the pass from Byron.
Byron sprinting up there. They're over the ball right now as we take a look at this. How about McCollum? One guy misses. It's back out to the boundary. He's got Leo Blackburn blocking all the way down the field a little bit too quick. They didn't get the chain set with this one.
False start. Offense. Not all 11 plays were set. It's a 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That last play again. It's Tatum who had a hand on McCollum that he runs through it, and then look at the blocking all the way down on Stevenson by Leo Blackburn to help all those extra yards. And after the penalty, trying to go too fast, they continue to go backwards, stop right at the line of scrimmage.
That's only 2 for Dante Smith, junior from Spring Hill, Tennessee. Inside of 4 minutes and rolling. Final home game for Georgia Tech. Next Saturday, they're at North Carolina. And then November 27th, they are at Georgia for the 116th meeting between the programs. Byron takes off. Miami territory, puts the shoulder down at the 35. Kitchens on the tackle. Byron, 19 punishing yards.
Watch Dante Smith turns into a fullback. Corey Flagg has to do a better job of stepping up and blowing that up. Corey Flagg just kind of trades 1 for 1, and Zach Byron takes advantage of it. Nice lead block there by Dante Smith. Good play call there by Coach Long, offensive coordinator.
Little razzle gadget. Byron throws inside the 10, and it's picked off. The leaping interception from Tyreek Stevenson. Second interception thrown by Pyron in the game.
Tyreek Stevenson, he is all of the above from the cornerback spot. He's a great cover guy. He's very physical. And here he's showing you that he's a smart football player as well. Razzle-dazzle all you want. I'm going to sit here and play center field and go high point that football, bring it down. And that's 2 interceptions for this Hurricane secondary here today. Both of them down near the goal line, and both of them when Georgia Tech looking to tie it up.
Second interception of the season for Tyreek Stevenson. Kitchens had one back in the first quarter. And now Miami has a team, has 10 total interceptions of the season. Be sure to stick with us after the third quarter for the fourth. Brought to you by CBI Security. It's coming up from Atlanta, Georgia. So glad that you're with us as we approach 6 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard. Tom Wormy, James Bates, member of the '96 National Championship team at Florida, and Wiley Ballard patrolling the sidelines. Later stages of the third quarter. Brown, an extra gear, and up near the 30. Clayton Powell-Lee running with Brown. Couldn't stop him from gaining 17 in the play.
Yeah, watch the rush there, the right side of your screen. That's Young Jewin. You know, it's one thing to get off the spot, but it doesn't do anybody any good to just go sprinting by the quarterback. One less body in there to help bottle him up and run him down, and it's off to the races. Good job by Jacurri Brown to just tuck it and go.
He's up to 63 yards rushing. Knighton is the leading rusher for Miami with 84 yards. That was Franklin. Only 2.
Franklin, another Chaminade High School product. Nice job defensively there. Georgia Tech, although we have seen a few times Miami with a couple pullers and running away from them. That time, Georgia Tech reading the pullers and just going back there, knifing in there and penetrating and disrupting the whole play.
Smith. He might have enough at the 40 with 8 yards. And the officials indicate that that is a first down for Miami. Ely on the tackle.
I think it's big 51. Watch Scaife here. Yeah. Coming from his tackle spot. He's the one that makes this happen. He gets out there and gets on LaMiles Brooks. Fantastic job by the big right tackle out of Miami Southridge, DJ Scaife.
Brown stepping up. Nowhere to throw it. Back to the line of scrimmage at the 40 of Miami for Jacurri Brown. Jason Moore, Josh Robinson collaborating on the stop. J.J. Wallace. And the approval from defensive coordinator Andrew Thacker.
Especially in the first half, the success on first down. Here we go, just like a year ago, down in the bottom. 33-30 final. We had an exciting finish in that one. Looking to be more of the same here today as we head to the fourth.
The teams did not play in 2020. Played in 2019. Miami losing at home in overtime against Georgia Tech. 28-21. And the game in 2018, which was the last time they played here, was also close. A win for Georgia Tech, 27-21. And it's third down for the Canes. They've missed on their last 3 attempts to convert on third down. From their own 42 for Miami, they're all pointing at that line. Penalty markers are out on 3rd and 8.
That line, they can bark cadence out, just nothing that mimics those of the offense, and they can also move as long as they don't move across the line. They can shift. A hard shift late.
Delay of game. Disconcerting signals on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Wow. So what it could be is the clapping of the hands. Ace Ely there. Let's see if we can hear as Brent Key's getting an explanation. So still 3rd down. Jackets trying to get on the same page here before this big play.
Now it's 3rd and 3. Brown wants to do it himself. He doesn't get there. Needed to get to midfield. He's well short of it, and it's 4th down.
No question here. I think he just punted away. Your defense is playing some great football. They'll send in the punting unit. Good job there by the Jackets after the penalty to shut it down. Nowhere for Brown to run.
So Headley's back in. McCollum is deep.
Let's see if Headley can get him in one more time.
Bounces at the 10. Rolls to the 5.
Wow.
We've seen Headley do this before. He put 4 inside the 10-yard line in the win on the road at Virginia Tech. The punt was 49 yards.
Even the time they missed, he gave them a chance. Tight end Jaleel Skinner, and it was 14-0. And Zach Pyron right before halftime, just under a minute to play, finds Nate McCullum. Tight coverage by Tyreek Stevenson, still able to drop it in there. Ooh, do that one little dance that you like. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So Miami's had a couple of interceptions, but unable to cash them in, James. Kitchens and Stevenson in the 1st and 3rd quarters, respectively.
And, you know, it's one thing we've seen so many times. These Yellow Jackets get the turnover in their opponent's territory. Each of these interceptions for Miami have been deep in their own territory, and that's exactly where Georgia Tech will start with the new quarterback in the game, back to Zach Gibson.
So Gibson is in for Pyron for Georgia Tech. Gibson has seen action in 3 games. He's attempted 30 passes. Does not have a TD pass. So he'll hand off. And Hall got spun down. So this drive is starting at about the 5-yard line. The last drive for Georgia Tech started at the 9 and ended with a Pyron interception.
Nice job by Chance Williams using those hands. Just collapsing down as his lineman pulls away, filling in that void and just dropping the runner. Miami doing a good job against the run in the second half, especially now.
Loss of 2 on the previous play. Numbers for Gibson. Throws from his own end zone. Had a man over the middle. Incomplete. Flags are out. Looking for Dylan Leonard. The Saint on the coverage. Miami. Penalty marker.
Pass interference. Defense number 31. Ball be placed in the spot of the foul. Includes an automatic. 1st down.
See if we can see it's going to come from the left right here. And yeah, he's got those hands. It's coming out of his break is where it is. It wasn't necessarily when the ball was in the air. Trying to take away that inside break and was beat. So grabbing onto those hips. Giving him the 1st down. Giving him a little bit of padding with the new quarterback in there. And just curious as to why. I know Pyron hasn't been perfect, but change quarterbacks in your own end zone. Pyron got banged up a little bit, or
McCollum made the catch. 3 yards on the pass from Gibson. Again, Jeff Sims, who is the usual starter for Georgia Tech, is emergency situation only. 5 receivers set for Gibson. Sims has dealt with leg and foot injuries. Little pump and throw down the sideline, and it's picked off at midfield. That's Kitchens again. He's got his second of the game.
These Georgia Tech quarterbacks perhaps thinking that Cameron Kitchens has on the blue and gold. He did go to Miami Northwestern after all. I'm so glad that I wear blue and gold. That's what they like to sing there at those Northwestern Bulls games.
3 interceptions in the game. They've got the ball back near midfield and lead 14-7 here in the 4th.
With Coach Strong there in the middle of that pack. He's fired up, and he should be. Look at this first interception. That's a toughie right there by Kitchens, coming across the field from the safety spot to pick it off. This one on the trying to be razzle-dazzle. Tyreek Stevenson gets a big interception. And then coming into this game already with 3, it's interception number 5 on the season for Cam Kitchens. This Coach Strong, co-defensive coordinator here with Kevin Steele. How about Coach Steele a couple weeks ago on a production meeting call, talking about how he and Charlie Strong, they live in the same complex there in Coral Gables, and when they get a chance, which isn't too often, these football coaches and the hours that they work, they sit on a bench down there and have coffee and just watch the cars go by. I want to watch that television show. That'd be kind of fun to watch, those two just telling old stories.
Part of the story of this game is the 3 interceptions by Miami. Georgia Tech has not created a takeaway. Of course, Miami hasn't scored off of those 2 previous interceptions either, and there is no game.
Well, and again, number 2 in the nation, this Georgia Tech team, when it comes to turnover margin. Plus 1.67. Number 1 coming into this weekend was USC. Number 3, by the way, the Duke Blue Devils. Thanks in large part to the 8 turnovers they forced a few weeks ago down in Miami against these Hurricanes.
Brown wants to take off. Ely ran him down.
Done a better job of showing these things up. There's Ace Ely coming from his linebacker spot. He and Charlie Thomas coming into this game, both tied for 3rd. 86 tackles in the ACC. Forcing a big 3rd down and 10. And Jacurri Brown, those run lanes haven't been there for him like they were in the first half. They'll bring bodies.
Smith gets around one man. He's got a first down inside the 40. Miami had missed on 3rd down 3 times this half. Not this time. 12 yards for number 12.
This is all Smith. Makes one guy miss there. Maybe Mallory gets a little bit of a chip, but then runs right through Brooks, who's got to come under control and keep him in front coming off of his block. Lets him get outside. And how about the fight from Smith to go move those chains? Big time play for the sophomore.
Inside the Georgia Tech 40. Brown looking around. He launches it. That'll be too far for everybody into the end zone.
Brown's pass incomplete.
Clayton Powell lead back there with Colby Young.
And why not try it? We've had so many fireworks come from number 88 here as of late. That one nowhere near the big man, so it's 2nd down and 10 now.
7 different receivers utilized by Jacurri Brown. That includes Young, who has 1 catch in the game for 11 yards. 2 TD passes thrown by the freshman. Has to leave the pocket. To his right. Turns the corner. Down the sideline. And cut down. about the 14. 24 yards on the run. Sims on the tackle.
How about the job that he does outside on Kennard? Kennard is just lost in space right there. He gets to that edge so fast, and there's no turning him back, and there's nobody out there. Straight down the sidelines, and showing you why people call him perhaps the most dynamic runner right there on this Miami offense.
Inside the red zone, brought to you by CPI Security. Knighton. He's down inside the 10. After that last run by Brown, 17 carries, 86 yards. His TD passes of 22 yards in the first quarter, 4 yards in the second quarter, and the first of his career. 2nd and 5 for the Canes. They can get a first down just inside that 5-yard line. Brown trying to create and turn that corner. Unable to do so this time. Forced out by Ace Ely. 6th-year senior and a transfer from Maryland. Originally from only Maryland. So that's 3rd down now. Play of the drive.
Take care of that football. Obviously, you want to get the 7 points, but Georgia Tech struggling to move the football. Obviously, 3 is huge in this situation.
Brown is looking in the end zone, tosses it there, and it is complete for the touchdown. Colby Young has it for the Canes. And they've taken a 20-7 lead.
Silenced last week, a little bit quiet early in this game, and a great job to go down. Ball thrown a little bit low, but once again, good protection up front for the young quarterback.
5th touchdown catch of the season for Young, and the 3rd in the game for Jacurri Brown. Canes on the drive, and they find Young in the end zone. 21-7. Miami in front. Brown with 3 TD passes.
Warrior 1, Warrior 2.
Especially after the Canes turned an interception into points. And it was the 2nd interception of the game from Cameron Kitchens.
Yeah, and finally the Canes getting some points off of a turnover. Here's a nice hustle play by Smith. Pick up a big first down there. And Jacurri Brown getting to the edge and getting down into that red zone. And here's the touchdown throw. Look at the protection. Plenty of time for Jacurri Brown. And lobs it out there to Colby Young.
8-yard touchdown play. Colby Young. Another TD grab. He's up to 5 on the season. And they converted on that interception by Kitchens. With 7:52 to go in the 4th. Miami's built a 21-7 lead. That drive took about 4 minutes. 8 plays. Hall, the return man. Shortish kick. Gordon couldn't quite get to the 30 on the return. All kinds of commotion on that Miami sideline. Players being separated.
They're just excited. Canes fired up.
All right, let's get a message, James, from Works Nitro.
Meet Works Nitro. Powerful tools for any project.
Situation for Georgia Tech.
Well, Tom, obviously the score presents quite a challenge for the Yellow Jacket offense, but it's going to be stiffer without Zach Pyron. I haven't gotten an official word on what the injury was, but he went to the locker room earlier in the fourth quarter and has not returned. I'll keep you posted if I see him down here.
Thank you, Wiley. Zach Gibson back out there for Georgia Tech at quarterback. And he is sacked. Time ran out in that pocket. Mitchell Agude, the sack and a loss of 2.
Agude, a couple tackles for loss against FSU last week. And here, relentless, getting rid of his blocker and then collapsing down. And whether you're first, second, or third string quarterback, you've got to have that internal clock in your head. You got to get out of there or get rid of that football. Zach Gibson gets dropped.
Quick pass on the edge. McCollum. Not quite enough. A couple of yards short of the first down marker. Flag is out. Jordan Miller made the tackle.
How about Jordan Miller turning and running? It was an offsides call on Miami.
Offside. Defense number 90. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
So Brent Key over there trying to figure out what's better. I mean, Jordan Miller's, he's about 315. See, that's where you know, Agude, Harvey, Jackson, Taylor, Messidor. We've seen Chance Williams in there. You know, when you've got depth like that along the defensive front, and you don't have guys at this point in the game that are, you know, just gasping a little bit. Here's a third down and short now. Nice job defensively by the Canes. There's Corey Flagg.
That was a loss of 1.
Tackle made by Corey Flagg Jr. It's 4th down.
Corey Flagg made the play. The marker says 4th down, and Gibson's still out there.
Okay,
so
we're being told.
Yeah. Well, the confusion started by Georgia Tech accepting the penalty when it appeared that maybe the gain on the play would have put them closer to the line to gain.
Miami takes its first time out of the half.
So Miami's taking a timeout. All right, so when we come back, I'm fairly certain it's going to be 3rd down. Streak. Okay, so this is the sequence.
Okay, so this was 2nd down. So it's going to be 3rd down and about 4, 5 where that knee hit. Okay, so about going to give them a pretty good spot. So about 3rd down and 4. They took the penalty, however, and the 5 yards with the defensive offside. So now
Gibson
is this 3rd down now, or is this 4th?
Well, Gibson's still out there.
Okay,
and it is being confirmed that it's 4th and 4.
Okay. Okay.
So the Jackets are going.
Needless to say, this is the play of the game right here. They got to get this.
Gibson. That ball hit the turf, incomplete. Looking for Carter. So Miami takes over on downs. Interesting sequence there for Georgia Tech.
It just shows you how much of a spark Hiron brought to this squad, because unfortunately, without Jeff Sims and without Zach Pyron back in there, this is the same type of offense that was really struggling to get anything going on a Thursday night a couple weeks ago in the loss to Virginia.
Knighton up the middle. He'll drag the Jackets down towards the 15. Jacurri Walton on the tackle. And 17 on the run.
Tom, this has to feel pretty good to see right here for Hurricane fans, because remember a few weeks ago in that Virginia Tech game, the entire fourth quarter, they just threw the football because they didn't think they could run it. Now they've got a little bit of a run game going. Rooster in there running it behind that offensive line that's found a way. Win some of those battles up front. Let that clock run down.
Yeah, James, 350 total yards and over 200 rushing for Miami. They had 188 a week ago against Florida State. In total.
Refusing to go down. They'll blow the whistles. I guess there's a flag down there. I'm sorry.
Mike Roche is our referee. They got to sort this out deep in Georgia Tech territory.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 29. Penalty been forced from the end of the run, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Yeah, the frustration building a little bit here for the Yellow Jackets after the last two plays. A little bit chippy, so it's a first down. Miami needs to let that clock go ahead and run down, snapping it with about 20 seconds on the play clock.
Knighton trudging his way toward the goal line. Stopped at about the 2. He got 3. We're about to cross the 5-minute threshold of the fourth quarter. And Miami is in control of this football game at the moment. They led 14-7 at halftime after a late Georgia Tech touchdown. Only scoring in the second half, an 8-yard TD pass to Colby Young from Jacurri Brown in this fourth quarter. 21-7, trying to build on the lead. To the goal line and in for the touchdown. Jaylon Knighton for Miami.
Your number 1.
Easy. So Miami punches it in, James, from 2 yards away. That is the first rushing touchdown of the season for Jaylon Knighton. Borregales knocks it through. 28-7. 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth for the Miami Hurricanes on the road to the ACC.
Yeah, it's frustrating when a team can impose their will against you and block you man for man and just overpower you, and then that run game is working like it is right there. Knighton into the end zone, and you know that's good to see. Jaylon Knighton, he really struggled holding on to that football, but he's come back. Had a couple decent runs against Florida State. There wasn't a whole lot of good to take out of that, but one of the bright spots was he held onto the football, had a career long, and he carried that over to tonight. And it's good to see him bounce back after some early season struggles. The sophomore from Deerfield Beach. Bucks up there, pretty good high school football program down in South Florida.
A lot of Miami fans made the trip. Although the temperatures have dipped, started in the low 60s, we're now in the low 50s here in Atlanta. It's been the Canes. Breaking news across the weather desk. We're approaching the 40-degree temperatures as well.
Really?
Yeah. It's getting a little cool here in Atlanta. Again, Miami goes with the shorter kick. Edwards on the return. James, Miami in the game has run for 226 yards. That far exceeds their season average rushing per game. They came in 10th in the ACC, 132 yards rushing per game. They've done it on the ground. Brown has done it with his arm, with 3 TD passes, and the rushing TD just a moment ago from Jaylon Knighton from 2 yards away, and it's all smiles on that Miami sideline. How about this? Miami in conference play on the road, James. If this score holds, they move to 3-0. Down the sideline, up past midfield. Harris on the catch.
Nice
23
job.
yards.
Nice job by Harris. He knew he was going to get hit as soon as he caught it, held onto the football to move those chains. Yeah, so coming together on the road, huh? Conference play. They've got the toughest test on the road of all coming next weekend as they head to Death Valley.
They won at Virginia Tech. They won in 4 overtimes at Virginia. And now they're trying to close in on a victory on the road at Georgia Tech. Last time they were here in 2018, they lost 27-21. .340 on the game clock.
Please reset the game clock to 3 minutes, 45 seconds. 3:45. Thank you.
So reset it to 3:45. 28-7 Miami. Canes took a 14-0 lead. Georgia Tech late TD in the second quarter. 14-7 advantage for Kristen Ball's team to the locker room. A passing TD and a rushing TD in the second half, and 3 interceptions for Miami as well. And they're going to Clemson. Bowl eligibility, still a goal that they can achieve. And then they'll close out the regular season at home against Pitt, which defeated Virginia today.
Canes will have to win one of those last 2. Clemson, last we checked, on top of Louisville at home.
Gibson through the progression. That's caught on the run. Carter down to the 20. Caleb Johnson on the tackle. 17 yards on the play. Got to admire the fight from the Yellow Jackets, trying to move that ball down the field. Inside the 20, Hall is dragged down. Clock will stop with 3:28 to go in the 4th. 5 yards on the play. So this is the last home game, James, for Georgia Tech. They're on the road at North Carolina and then at Georgia.
Yeah, so we've got perhaps at that point the Coastal champions, if they can win tonight, North Carolina, and then the defending national champions and the top team in the country in the big rivalry game up between the Hedges and Athens, about an hour and a half northeast of here.
Georgia Tech beat North Carolina last year here when Jeff Sims had 3 rushing TDs. They lost at home against Georgia last year 45-0. Georgia's won 4 in a row in the series. To the end zone. It's intercepted. Intercepted. Kitchens. He may go the distance. Trying to chase him down. It's not going to happen. 99 yards, the return after the interception, and a touchdown. Cameron Kitchens from Miami.
Hat trick. Throw that hat out there, Sebastian. Wow. 3 interceptions coming into the game for Cam Kitchens. Tied for 2nd in the ACC. I'm not sure what's going on around the rest of the league here today, but I'm guessing he's going to be at the top when the smoke settles after this Saturday.
Well, he's got 3, James, so he's up to 6. Aiden White from NC State had 4 to start Saturday to lead the ACC.
There we go, just waiting on it. And, the first one was was a crazy catch, and the last two, a couple easy ones, but you'll take it anyway, and all the way to the house. Nobody over there as soon as he caught it. I'm sure 24. He's feeling pretty good, seeing nothing but grass and a couple orange jerseys to lead the way. Tough one. Zach Gibson was starting to find a little bit of a rhythm for that offense, moving them down there. You look at you hear about defenses that bend but don't break. If I'm not mistaken, each one of those interceptions, and that includes the one by Tyreek Stevenson, all down there near the goal line. Georgia Tech going in to score on each one. So talking about flipping the script and not just making a stand and forcing a field goal, but turning the football over.
Paul stumbles at the 14-yard line. A couple of flags out as well near the Georgia Tech sideline. In addition to the 3 interceptions for Kinchins, he's got 8 tackles in the game too. Took that last one 99 rollicking yards.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, kicking team number 15. 15-yard penalty. That's 15's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
Gilbert Frierson had an interception return for a touchdown earlier this season against Bethune-Cookman. That one punctuates this victory in all likelihood with 2:32 to go. 35-7. This is a team that scored 3 points against Florida State a week ago. Had gone 9 quarters without a touchdown. They won that game at Virginia in overtime. Took 4 overtimes and there were no touchdowns. None by either team. That pass threaded down by the 45 and caught. Malik Rutherford, 27 yards. DJ Ivey on the stop. What can you say about the emotional ups and downs of college football if you're a Miami fan or if you're a Georgia Tech fan for that matter, James?
Absolutely.
I mean,
you even go back the week before that Virginia game, the win there up at the University of Virginia, and that was the Duke game. You're at home. Tyler Van Dyke's coming off a record performance. Finally got his groove back after the game, a close one, a loss to North Carolina. And you think, okay, here go the Canes, and they turn it over 8 times, and Duke beats them at home.
Van Dyke had thrown for 496 yards and 3 TD passes in that game against North Carolina. It was a close loss for Miami.
You know, here's a perfect example, though, of these turnovers really becoming contagious, as they have in a big way for Georgia Tech throughout the season. They go a little bit cold defensively here today. Don't force any turnovers. Miami, on the other hand, those sharks in the water smelling blood. They want more, and they're hungry. Like we started off the show, it's the keys to the game. They're walking dead. They're beat up a little bit. Some injuries. Tough one last week.
Gibson threw it in the end zone looking for Benson.
But Tom, you knew that Miami, they had, for them to bounce back, they had to come in here mad at the world, us against them, and just hungry. And Kevin Steele, his coaching staff, oh, you see him? You see that sign? Let's eat, let's eat. That's how you stay hungry. Going, forcing those turnovers. The 3 interceptions by Kinchins and the 1 by Tyreek Stevenson.
Gibson on the run goes down inside the 20. Yeah, that loss at home against North Carolina for Miami, James, 27-24, and then they won at Virginia Tech. Lost to Duke, went on the road in Charlottesville and won.
Please reset the game clock to 1 minute, 27 seconds. 1:27.
A forgettable afternoon against Florida State at home. They had a great atmosphere and energy, and it just never materialized last week against the Knolls. And today they come up with 4 interceptions. Kitchens has 3.
There you go early on, first quarter. Kitchens, there's number 1 for the safety. There's Tyreek Stevenson going up and high-pointing that football on the razzle-dazzle play. And a little double move. Nobody fooled underneath. Kitchen coming over the top. And there's number 3. And there goes the sophomore out of Miami Northwestern, Cam Kitchens. 99 yards to the paint. Riding out to the Freaknik.
So Kitchens with those 3 interceptions, the first Hurricane to do so in a game since Kenny Phillips back in 2006, and that was at Duke. That'll be incomplete. So a successful road trip for Miami. In fact, they've all been successful, James, on the road in ACC play. If you told Mario Cristobal before the season, with 2 games to go, you're going to be undefeated on the road in the ACC. Probably feel pretty good about that. Of course, they've had some stumbles outside of those games.
Well, even on the road at Texas A&M, then a top 25 team, they played them really close, tough game.
Rutherford had it for Georgia Tech, 6 yards. Clock is rolling, 112, 111. That is near the goal line and falls to the turf incomplete. Looking for Blackburn.
Got to be careful, turn that head around in that situation. Good coverage. Majority of the time you get a flag thrown there, but nice job in that. Coverage by Gerald Porter, sophomore out of Fort Lauderdale. Kane's going to continue to fight, see if they can keep the Jacks out of the end zone.
Pressure from the edge. Gibson got away and he heaves it out of the end zone. Again, Blackburn back there, the receiver. The Saint with the pressure on Gibson. Mario Cristobal's team is going to improve to 5-5. They've got a chance at bowl eligibility. In fact, they've been bowl eligible 9 straight years, this Miami program. This will be their 40th ACC win since 2015. That is the 2nd most in the conference behind Clemson. Inside of a minute to go now. With a dump off. Felix couldn't get away.
Nice job there by Porter. Come up and make the play before Felix can get his shoulders turned and squared.
The cool weather that we experienced for most of this game, not a problem for the Canes on the road.
Yeah, when I saw that it was going to be down near the 40s, it reminded me of...
It's in the 40s now.
We talked earlier about senior day way back when, but there was a trip my junior year when we went to South Carolina. It would have been on this weekend, and it was, you know, a little bit colder than this, maybe lower 40s. And I remember all of our guys from Miami, they had their ear holes taped up and the hoodies on underneath their pads. They don't love that cold weather. That's all right, though. I've gotten to the point where I'm not very tough with it either. Give me that sunshine.
Coach Cristobal still got the Miami polo on. Canes creating the heat in Atlanta tonight. When Georgia Tech scored that late TD, James, in the 2nd quarter on that incredible throw by Pyron to the back of the end zone to McCollum, thought we might have something brewing. But the 2nd half belongs to the Miami Hurricanes. with 53 seconds on the game clock.
Miami takes its second time out of the half. It'll be 30 seconds in length.
So the Miami Sports Information staff kind enough to let us know it is the second longest interception return for a touchdown in school history. The record is 100. So 99 is the second longest by Kitchens.
Who has the record
in school history?
They tell you?
Selwyn Brown at Boston College in 1985. 100-yard return. If I'm not mistaken, in college football, that's your maximum. Even if you come out of the end zone a few yards deep, in college football, 100 is the maximum. If I'm not mistaken. In the NFL, it's different. It's 100 plus. So we just witnessed the second longest interception return for a TD in the history of Miami football. I have a pretty good idea who's going to be defensive back of the week in the ACC when we vote on that. Flag is out. It happened late on the play. And Coach Cristobal does not want this prolonged any more than it needs to be.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 32. After distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
So Georgia Tech is going to drop to 4-6. They would need to win those last two games. We told you they're on the road against North Carolina and Georgia if they wanted to achieve bowl eligibility. So it will be an uphill climb. And they'll move to 3-4 in conference play. Miami evens its conference record at 3-3. And again, the Canes are at Clemson and home against Pitt, and that's incomplete. Incomplete in the end zone. Rutherford was back there.
One more look at it and had it right there in his fingertips. Nice job there defensively, not giving up on it by Harris. Rake through those wrists and knock it down. So second down and goal, and it should be Miami football taking a knee.
Diving for the goal line and in for the touchdown. Felix. Second and third effort, a 7-yard play for a touchdown for Georgia Tech.
Felix, freshman. Got a couple good runs last week against Virginia Tech. Here doing it through the air. Nice catch and nice effort to stretch it across that plane. Make it 35-14 with 36 seconds remaining.
Brent Key took over in a tough situation and won 2 games right out of the gate. This one, though, trying to send the seniors off in style. Miami had other plans tonight.
And you know, one thing that you hear a lot from Mario Cristobal in those press conferences is he and his staff and what they left to come back to Miami to build something special. And the same thing goes for Brent Key. He was an offensive line coach at the University of Alabama, obviously a pretty good situation to be in, and the opportunity to come back to his alma mater, just like Mario Cristobal, and to try to make a winner out of his Yellow Jackets. Came back to coach with Jeff Collins. Jeff Collins coached his tail off and was let go here earlier this season, and decided they needed to make a change and hand it over to Brent Key, and then the guys have played pretty hard for him throughout the year. And it's the interim head coach.
Yeah, in fact, both of these coaches were at Alabama as assistants for national championship seasons. Georgia Tech has recovered 6 straight onside kicks, not this one.
That's Kinch's.
Yeah, let's just finish it off that way. Wins at Virginia Tech, at Virginia, and now at Georgia Tech this season for Miami on the road to the ACC. They're going to improve to 3-1 on the road this season, and 3-0 in conference play away from Miami Gardens. And the first start of the career of Jacurri Brown went pretty well, Bates. 3 TD passes.
I'll say, and running the football, setting the tone in the first half. Careful. Oh.
Okay. All right. I was trying to look up Brown's numbers rushing, as that was at 19 rushes for 87 yards. Knighton led the way, 118 yards on 16 carries for Knighton. That's why you put 88 back there, right?
Yes.
Colby Young, loss of 10. It's insignificant. Final seconds tick off the clock, and Miami goes on the road, James, and wins it 35-14 against Georgia Tech in its final home game for 2022. So Coach Cristobal's team last week, James, lost at home 45-3 to their rival Florida State. We thought, what